going to homecoming for the first time and like driving my car for the first time, there's always like a wave that hit me like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this without my dad. But at the same time, like I know he's still there, but just not physically there.
Hello and welcome to Guess Who Died, a podcast where we talk about who died and how we feel about it with Jeff, myself, Julia, and producer KC. All right, Jeff, you teased that you brought a list today, so I gotta ask, who died?
Well, there is a list, but I wanted to focus on one. So Ruth Buzzy was a popular TV personality who passed away. She was great. I remember very little of her except for a ginger ale commercial.
This is now the second time you have blown my mind by not saying the person I thought you were going to say and then saying someone with a very silly, fun name. It's making me very happy. I love Ruth Buzzy. Go ahead.
Okay, but that's not who I'm focusing on. But I do remember a commercial of her playing that character of this little woman with a purse, and she beat people with this purse, and she's sitting on a park bench. It's not too sweet. It's dry. It's crisp. It's neat. I'm like 5 years old, and I remember this commercial. That's what I remember.
That's impactful.
Yeah, but that character showed up on TV. She was very popular for that character. But as I was looking along, I'm like, okay, we all know that losing pets is a terrible thing. Yes. And a loss that happened this week, Morrissey Alligator, who was in Happy Gilmore.
Oh, no.
He was 80 years old, between 80 and 100, at a Colorado alligator farm. Of course, he was in that movie and a few others. But I was like, you know what? It sounds ridiculous to bring it up, but a loss of an animal pet, it hurts sometimes as bad as losing a loved one that's human.
Absolutely, and especially a celebrity pet. I mean, none of us wanted to know when Air Bud died, or like any of those things. It's really impactful. I mean that for real. When it reminds us of our own pet, it reminds us of joy and childhood, and these things it is sad. I was not a Happy Gilmore person. I'm not even sure I've seen it once the whole way through. So, but I
will shun Julia for not having seen Happy Gilmore. I'm anxiously awaiting the sequel.
And it's ironic that this happened soon before the sequel's coming out. And Carl Weathers, we lost, I guess, about a year and a half ago. Yep. So I'm seeing them in the sky, like above the house, waving and saying, "We're okay."
Along with Abraham Lincoln, right?
Oh yeah. And Chubb has his hand, so it's all good.
Exactly.
All right.
Sorry, that's a movie reference, Julia.
That's stupid. And it's a sports movie. Let us be clear once again. We're talking about no. The big one. There's a big one. The Pope died.
Yeah, I know. And I totally spaced on it. I'm like looking again today. I'm like, well, that's kind of a big one.
I did the same thing, Jeff.
Oh my God.
I know, because at this point now it's been a couple weeks, but that was a big deal, and we've already now chosen a new pope. So and he's from Chicago. I mean, there's been all these things happening related to this, but
mind blowing.
Yeah,
a Chicago pope.
I think just being a bereavement therapist, Julia, the way in which we announced the loss of the Pope, but all of the pomp and circumstance that revolves around it, and the whole basilica and the waiting is a big deal. Something that I don't think we see too much anymore.
So much ritual at old school, really old school. I mean, like white smoke going up when it's chosen. Right. I mean, there's so much that's almost ancient in many ways about this, and people take it seriously.
Yes, they should.
Yes, but there's very few things that are taken that seriously, even when it comes to something like religion, that's
right.
So I
think it's right up on par there with your royal wedding kind of thing. Yes. There's just that much tradition, and it 100%. Happens so rarely that we go all in.
Yes.
I remember when Benedict was voted in as Pope. Pope John Paul had died, and I was sitting in the hospital with my mom doing chemo, and we watched the white smoke. But then to see it again, it's historic, and you never know how often you're going to see it. When it does, the tradition is just mind blowing.
Yeah, I thought it was what's the word, apropos that he had died on Easter. That was kind of unique in a way.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
hopefully not prophetic, and just but it was very I think of the Queen. You said the royal wedding, and it's just these kind of big figures that represent more than
Yeah.
humanity. I mean, even we're seeing that with the new pope being chosen. It's like, oh, he has a brother and they used to eat
Right.
pizza together, but now he's the
Yes.
pope. And what does this represent? And there's just, it's a lot like Morris the alligator. It represents something bigger when these things happen. And
Absolutely. I mean, it's self-disclosure. I'm not Catholic,
No.
no,
but I'm following every little bit of it.
Yeah.
It has an influence on the world, whether you are of that faith or not. And I think that's fascinating.
very.
So
A lot of people turn there to get answers, and it's going to have an effect on the world. So
absolutely.
here we go.
Yeah.
I knew one of you would have the Pope.
It had
So
to be.
I'm just
I
saying.
think all of us had like these lists, and we're like, well, if no one says the Pope,
Right?
Yes. All right, Casey.
again, very minuscule, but also worth noting. Robert Benton, Jeff's look of question means he's got nothing on.
If we didn't get Jeff with David Lynch, we're not getting him with Robert Benton. I think.
Fair enough. Oscar winner, director and writer of Kramer versus Kramer.
I saw that movie.
Okay.
Love that movie.
Yeah, he was the writer of Bonnie and Clyde. And I don't know if he won the Oscar or was just nominated for Places in the Heart, Sally Field, Ed Harris, Great Depression film.
I remember hearing of it. It came out when I was a kid. I didn't really want to watch it, but I am familiar though. I did
can't
see his
imagine
name.
why.
Well, and that's right up your alley. You're going to know the directors. I mean, as soon as you said Kramer versus Kramer, I remember reading about it.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
Julia, have you ever seen Kramer versus Kramer?
Recently, like
Oh,
6
yeah.
months ago for the first time.
Oh,
It was
wow.
on my list of like, this movie gets referenced so often, you gotta start to understand what people are talking
Yes.
about. It was totally not what I thought. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay.
And I was going to say, especially within your work and what you do
I
on
know.
the regular, to understand that narrative is pretty cool.
Very much so. Yeah.
good.
So R.I.P.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I cannot wait to have our guest on today. He is one of our younger guests, not to age anyone, but I'm really excited to get him on the mic because he actually lost someone when he was younger and is now in the process of entering adulthood. So it'll be interesting to see what this perspective of loss is like from one of our younger guests. So
Looking forward to it.
stay tuned on Guess Who Died. Olivia's House is an independent, freestanding, nonprofit grief and loss center that supports children and their families before, during, or after a loss, all at no cost. When death enters your house, you are welcome at our house, where families are met with professional care, expert guidance, and resources for children and teens of any age. Nestled in central Pennsylvania, Olivia's House continues to be the premier independent grief and loss center. Welcome back to Guess Who Died with Jeff, myself, Julia, producer Casey, and now joining us in the studio is our guest, Hunter. Welcome, Hunter.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. I was giving Jeff a little bit of the scoop of how cool you are, but I had to literally shut myself up, put my own hand over my mouth because I'm like, save it for the pod. So Hunter, can you tell us who died?
So when I was 10, my dad passed away from stage 4 lung cancer. And it was obviously a very rough time at that point. And actually a counselor at my school introduced us to Olivia's House, and I went through the program. And I don't remember too much from the program because it was, I think we just had 8 years ago. So I know it was just a life-changing experience. I wouldn't be where I am today. Now I'm going to start college in August for chemistry at University of Delaware. So I would not be where I am right now without them, Olivia's House, helping.
Oh, I told you it was smart. That's amazing. Chemistry was my worst subject, so I am in awe of you. That's
I ran away
incredible.
from it.
Yes, Jeff and I are over here like cheating off of Hunter's chemistry homework as we speak. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you said that was 8 years ago, so you're 18 now.
Yes.
Going into adulthood.
A little scary, but I'm excited for a new journey. I'm sad to leave high school, but at the same time, I'm excited to start a new journey, meet new friends, and advance my career.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword because there's a lot of loss that comes with life changes, even when they're positive life changes. But knowing that, I'm never gonna walk those halls again, or I don't get that routine anymore that I've gotten used to really for 12 or 13 years. That's a big loss. But your resilience and your ability to cope with change is what allows you to see the other edge of the sword, which this is a good sword we're talking about. That there's positives here too. So that's a testament to the work you've done.
Yeah.
You mentioned your dad died of stage 4 lung cancer.
Yes.
Can you tell us? I mean, you were 10, so obviously you
Yeah.
don't need to know all the ins and outs of the medical piece, but what was that like? Because that's a pretty intense diagnosis for a parent.
Yeah. My mom pretty much kept me in the loop. I remember she would always contact my fourth grade teacher and like what's happening, him going through chemo, him going through radiation. I actually remember the first time he went in for, I think it was either chemo or radiation. He knew going in that he was going to lose hair, but the thing is he was already bald. So when he went in the second time for chemo and radiation, he turned to the nurse and said, I knew I would lose hair, but I didn't think I would lose it this quickly. The nurse had no clue that he was bald.
Oh my gosh.
I just remember that.
That's great. Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
Uh,
Oh, so he was funny.
Oh, definitely. Very
Oh
funny.
my gosh.
what was your dad's name?
Trey Bert. And most people knew him as Bert.
Okay.
I love the name Trey Bert. Isn't that so cool?
That's a different name. So with him saying that to the nurse, it sounds like he has a sense of humor.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. Up to the very end.
Uh-huh. That's great.
Mm.
It's hard to imagine to be able to do that, but to do that, what did that mean for you?
It definitely helped me because, it's always best to keep a positive side. Obviously, you know what's happening, but you don't get to see all of it. And have that one person taking a positive attitude on everything just helps you understand that it will be okay eventually.
Has that helped you to keep a positive attitude through your life with everything that as growing up, getting out of school and going through puberty and all that stuff?
Oh, we brought you here to talk about puberty, Hunter.
Did it help? Did it help you to be resilient and bounce back through all that stuff, all the tough stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I also took some of his humor and I try to use it today. A lot of people sometimes compare me to him sometimes with his humor and my grin, and just because his laugh was contagious, everybody would talk about that and how good of a person he was.
I mean, even the way you talked about college, the way I brought it up earlier, that you instantly went to, here's the positives. There's negatives, but there's loss, but there's also positives, and it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. That it was so clear that that is part of your nature, that this is just something that is ingrained in you, and that's incredible. You did mention your dad had humor right up until the end. Do you have any other examples of that besides the bald joke?
I'm not exactly sure what he said, but when my mom went there the last night, I know he said a joke before he finally passed away. He said a joke to her, and that really, I think, helped a little bit. But I know he was just up to, like I said, up to the very end. He was always the same self. He didn't want to, even though he was in pain, he didn't want to show it to other people. He just kept it internally and just tried to give his best self to everybody.
At what point did you know your dad wasn't going to make it?
They found it on pretty late. When they found it, it was the size of a softball, his tumor. We knew that he probably wasn't going to live a long life. It kind of came up suddenly towards the end because we got it down to a size of a golf ball, and it was about, I think it could have had surgery on it where it was, but he started to get a lot of fluid in his lungs, and they just couldn't keep up with the rate that the fluid was coming in at. So at that point, they kind of shortened his sentence, but he just didn't know how long he would be. It was kind of up in the air, and he would go in the hospital a lot, and he would come back, and he would bounce back, and then he would be back in again. And it was just, I knew it was going to happen eventually. I had it on my radar.
What was that like having it on your radar? We call that anticipatory grief, but for a 10-year-old, you're not thinking anticipatory grief. So what is that like to have that on your radar?
From what I remember, just going day by day, taking by day, not thinking too much in the future. Just like, if I have this chance to be with him, let me just be with him for this moment. I didn't want to get caught up in like, now I'm in the hospital room and all I want to do is just cry next to him. I want to have as much time as I can with him.
Did you two do anything special as you knew your days were limited? What kind of things did you do together as often as you could?
At that point, I was still playing baseball, so we would play catch or just outside. You'll take me fishing, shooting gun stuff, just anything outdoors. He loved the outdoors, and I would always join him on those activities.
Oh, I was going to say, you perked Jeff's ears up when you said baseball. No, let me sit this one out. Go on. Tell us what Bert liked to do with the baseball. But
Well,
it's
it's those natural, all those things he mentioned. It's what you want to do with dad. And you want to take as much time to do that with dad as you can. And you took advantage of as much time as you had, it sounds like. And that's got to make you feel pretty good inside that you were able to do that.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
and that's a big testament to your mom too, that she was able to facilitate that for you, but to you as well. I mean, I'm not taking that out of your hands. There's something really special about a person who can have mindfulness in that moment, because that's what mindfulness is. So for you to have been navigating, practicing, and almost mastering that at the age of 10, that's, I'm sure, served you pretty well as you've grown up.
Yeah, I did. Like people told me I've had an old soul, and like I guess I took it to a different approach than probably a lot of people would at that time.
I agree. Having worked with a lot of kids and adults, that's a very unique way you went about that, and it was very intentional on your end, and that is very special.
Do you have any siblings?
I do not. I'm an only child.
So I guess you really felt like you had to grow up pretty quick. Did you
Yeah.
feel like that? Did you feel that pressure?
I mean, I was already had like a lot of responsibilities in my house before like he passed away. But I did rise up pretty quickly after that. I remember my mom tells me a lot of memories because they go away after a while. But she's like, one of the first things was like afterwards she was crying and I was crying and I came up and hugged her. I said, it'll be okay. And my mom later was like telling her friend, she's like, what 10-year-old goes and has like knows that like to hug their mom and say it's okay in this situation.
Yes.
But I have so many responsibilities, but I help my mom. My mom helps me. It's a balance that we handle pretty well.
Yeah. I'm curious, knowing your mom, this and how great she handled all of this, but what was it like to go from 3 of you in the house to now 2 of you in the house? You're saying you now had to split up responsibilities. Did you feel that pressure, that sometimes that cliche of you're the man of the house now, or you have to do the dad duties? Like, was that part of what those responsibilities looked like? Or was it more just me and mom are going to split the duties because we got to make this household run?
I think it was more of like, let's just do the chores because I did chores. They always had me do chores. I didn't have a allowance or anything. I just did the chores like they told me to. So it just gets a little more chores. I didn't really think of it like, well, now I have to do more chores. Now I have like the jobs that he did, I can do now. And I think that kind of helped me because I could do more like he did because I always looked up to him. I always like wanted to be like him. So I guess being able to do the chores like mowing the lawn, that was his job. Now that's my job. So just little things like that. I don't think it really affected me too much on that.
I love that. The language we use is so important. Chores, even though you're an adult and you're a very mature young man, but chores is something that a child does. Mm-hmm. So even how your mom framed it, how you framed it, was that these are chores, and this is my role as a child, is to that every children have chores, versus people sending you the message of you have to mow the lawn because you're the man of the house.
What pointed you into the direction of chemistry? Was that something that your dad got you interested in, or that came just by yourself?
That came by myself. My dad was he mostly worked in HVAC and electricity. When I was in high school, I took chemistry honors, and I kind of fell in love with it.
So talk about your journey after the loss of your dad.
You said you were in 4th grade. What was it like going to 4th grade graduations, going to your baseball games? What were those experiences like without a dad present?
Each like major event, like I don't remember too far back, but like going to homecoming for the first time and like driving my car for the first time, it was always like a wave that hit me like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this without my dad. But at the same time, like I know he's still there, but just not physically there. I think just having the mindset of it'll be okay, and yes, I'm gonna cry a ton, but eventually I will get through it, and I do things like every single day. He passed away on December 3rd. So every single year we have a lasagna dinner for him, and we invite over friends, and one of his favorite drinks was Coca-Cola. So we have Coca-Cola and lasagna with a bunch of family members.
And it goes beyond just the lasagna at your house, right? I mean, it's like across the country, lasagnas are being baked in the oven, I feel like, every year.
Even across the world, we have friends in Norway that have lasagna on December 3rd too.
Isn't that so cool?
That's a great tradition, a great honor. That's awesome.
And it's not asking much of your loved ones. You know, people can say, how can I support you? Or I don't know what to do for my friend who had a loved one who died. And it really is just saying, hey, this is that anniversary date. Let's all have a lasagna. That's no skin off anyone's teeth. We had to make dinner anyway. Might as well do it in Bert's honor. And that's really cool of you and your mom that you were willing to ask, you know, your friends and family to join you in that, because that is where the healing comes from, is us being willing to ask for that support.
Yeah, I think another thing that really helped me is like stories, hearing all these stories. My aunt, my mom, my dad's college friends, everybody telling me stories, because like I might forget who exactly he was. I only have select memories of him, but other people have lived their whole life, 20, 30 years with him. They have so many more memories that I can now have of him. So it's like I lived with him longer than I actually did.
That's an interesting way to put that.
Wow. What's your favorite story you've heard about your dad?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, that is a good question. I know, well, he was a troublemaker sometimes. One of my favorite, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but his grandma on his either mom or dad's side was Pennsylvania Dutch. And when she got mad, she would like yell at them in Pennsylvania Dutch and like chase them after with spoons. And I guess it happened enough for that to stick with them. It's just a bunch of goofy things.
The wooden spoon, is that what it was? I
think it was
remember.
the wooden spoon,
yeah,
yeah.
the wooden spoon was that was a threat when I was a kid as well. So yeah, I understand that.
I don't know if you know this story as well as I do, because it is one that your mom told me. But do you, if I say the saxophone story?
Oh, yeah. So both my mom and dad, they actually met in high school through band. They both played saxophone. And
High school sweethearts, isn't that so
That's
sweet?
great.
I know.
yeah, they're off and on in college, but then they eventually found each other back and they got married. And so they both had both their saxophones. My dad owned the brand called Armstrong, and my mom had a Yamaha. And eventually decided, well, we don't need two alto saxophones in the house. So we got rid of my dad's Armstrong. Later on, I got to fourth grade and I wanted to play an instrument. I wanted to play the saxophone because we already had one. We had to spend any money on it. And I'm like, okay. So my mom took it to Menchie's to get it looked at to see if it's in playing condition for me, because it hasn't been played in probably like 20 years. And the guy's like, well, I can tell you this. The body is a Yamaha, but the neck is an Armstrong, which means at some point parts of the saxophone got switched. So I'm playing partly my mom's saxophone, partly my dad's saxophone.
That's pretty cool, man.
And your dad had died when she took it to Menchie's, right? Or
It was fourth grade, so it was probably around
right
that
around
time,
that
yeah.
same time. Isn't that crazy? And they thought they had just gotten rid of dads and they only had moms. Lo and behold, they have half of dads and half of moms, and there's Hunter. And you are so amazing. I mean, you are just a star in so many ways. What advice do you have? What guidance would you give to anyone else in your position, whether a 10-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 50-year-old?
One thing that my mom always said is change is constant. The only thing constant in life is change. Things are going to change. You're not going to like it. But really just take it day by day, second by second. Like just take it one bite at a time. Just like you can't eat an elephant all at once. Just eat one piece at a time and you will get through it. And things will get better.
So, looking forward to you're graduating. How are you
In a
looking
couple
at
weeks, right? Like soon?
that? Very soon.
May 30th, yeah.
Woo.
Coming up real soon.
So that's going to be another wave of emotion, I'm sure.
It probably won't hit me until the day of, or like a couple days before. That's usually when it happens.
It's these big moments that I think, Hunter, you kind of said it earlier when you talked about learning to drive. It's not that you are breaking down and you can't get out of bed for 2 weeks when you have to learn to drive because you're missing your dad. It's just this wave of emotion of, oh, wow, the rest of my friends are telling their dad to grab the keys and teach him to drive, and I don't get that perk. And that kind of stinks, and I'm feeling it. But I need you to tell the story, if you can, not to keep making you tell stories, of a big ritual that just happened in your life. I mean, you, speaking of achievements, Jeff, a major achievement was just reached. You became, I don't want to say it. You say it. Tell us what happened.
So recently I just had my Eagle Scout ceremony, and that was a really cool experience to be there. And my Eagle Scout project was for Olivia's house. I was just going to do it for like Nixon Park or a local park, like what most people do. And I'm like, we were at a Wings program for alumni for Olivia's house. It was actually an escape room. And my mom remembered that somebody else did an Eagle Scout project for Olivia's house. And at that point, my mind was set. I said, I want to do an Eagle Scout project for Olivia's house. So I reached out to them. I said, what can I do? I don't want to do something small and do something a little bit bigger. So they gave me a couple options. So I chose that the third story on the office side, their bathroom, there's boxes everywhere and everything. And they said, can you turn that into a storage facility for us?
We needed him to unbathroom it. Like toilet be gone, sink be gone, like like gut everything and just make it a storage room.
So you got to it, huh?
I got to it, and so then I got Eagle, and I got it approved and everything. And you get 3 pins. One goes to your mom, one goes to your dad, and one goes to a mentor. My Eagle Scout coordinator at the troop said you could give your dad's pin to another mentor, or you could somehow incorporate it into the ceremony. And I told my mom, I said, no offense to anybody else, but no one else deserves that pin more than my dad. And I know I wanted something in the service to give him that pin. And you can even, if you look at my script, when I printed out the script, I was not sure what I was going to be doing. I said, pin it to something ? On my script.
Pin to some dad. Pin to something ?
I had no clue what I was gonna do, but like 2 days before it came to me, we still have a couple of my dad's clothes. I took one of his Hawaiian shirts. I found a piece of cardboard. I asked my grandma, can you alter this so it looks nice on this piece of cardboard? And then at the ceremony, I had a candle and I had a picture of him and I had the Hawaiian shirt on a stand. And when it came time, although something was read about him, I lit the candle and I pinned it on his shirt. That was his actual shirt. And we just got a shadow box that we can keep that shirt forever with the pin on it to hang it up on my wall somewhere.
My gosh.
Wow.
Everyone else, his Hunter's troop leader said, don't worry about it. You don't have to. You can skip that part. And Hunter said, not on my healing journey.
All right.
No, we do something. We do a ritual when something meaningful happens. And that is so cool that was your instinct and that you thought to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have left that out of the ceremony. And actually, there isn't really guidelines because I don't know if it's ever really been done for Eagle Scout.
And now I am sure our listeners who are hearing this, they're guaranteed we have either Boy Scouts or parents of Scouts or who are hearing this and saying, oh, light bulbs going off. Mm-hmm. My child is about to have their ceremony and we were going to totally ignore that because I thought it would ruin the day. But no, now we're going to incorporate that. So Hunter, you have just touched a lot of lives by sharing that story. Eagle Scout ceremony or any type of ceremony, do something with your loved one.
Yeah.
That is the healing.
I just feel like remembering is never a bad thing. And to lean into it and just do it.
Yes. Yes.
Isn't that on a t-shirt we have?
Gotta start making merch. All right, Hunter, we have a ritual that we do with all of our podcast guests. So that is why we asked you what your dad's name is. And we are now going to toast to Bert. So grab our drinks or hypothetical drinks, everybody. And on the count of 3, we will toast to Bert. 1, 2, 3. To Bert. Thank you so much, Hunter. You all just heard us take a sip. We are not lying here. We are toasting. Thank you so much for being here, for spreading your presence. You have made an impact with your voice. So thank you.
Thank you, Hunter. Great meeting you. Good luck in college and the future.
Yes.
Looks great.
It looks great. It's looking bright, Hunter. You are set up for success here.
Thank you.
All right. We will be right back on Guess Who Died?
Guess Who Died is brought to you by Olivia's House, a grief and loss center for children. Olivia's House is a community-funded organization that provides comfort and education to families when they need it most, and we are able to keep our doors open thanks to donations from people just like you. Find out ways to support or get support from Olivia's House by visiting www.oliviashouse.org. And we're back to Guess Who Died. We just said so long to our guest, Hunter Ellis. What a guest.
I told you. Isn't he amazing?
He really is.
Everything he said, it's like, now I'm acing this. Now I'm in this. I'm the president of this. I mean, just...
I wanted to crawl under a table like, oh.
No.
I think what's so interesting about that, and I think for our listeners to understand, is that so oftentimes, Julia, I think you can speak to this, is that folks feel like when a child as young as 10 loses their father, that this is going to be the handicap for the rest of their lives.
Correct.
That they can't be a functioning person any longer. And we're out there to say, no, my goodness, this doesn't have to define them that way. You can still be captain of everything,
Yes.
and super chemist and such, and an incredible person, just who's lost their father.
Yes. And I really can't speak to this enough, how awesome Hunter's mom is and was at handling that, because so much of what he is sharing is a result of the way that they, and his dad too, that's just how the household was, that we are mature about things, or we handle things head on and we're honest. And that has served him so well. It allows him to be resilient. And I think we forget, and all adults forget, that children are naturally resilient, especially if they have healthy brains. So even when something terrible happens, we know it's terrible to lose a parent. For a child, everything they're experiencing is happening to them for the first time. It's all normal. Not that they think, oh, this happens to everyone, but that we adjust throughout childhood. We adjust always to our surroundings. And so Hunter is not, that's why he's not able to say, oh, that was so hard and it was horrible and it was the worst years of my life, because he adjusted, because he was healthy. And now he is still in that bereavement process of, I get the waves sometimes and here's what I learned.
And it doesn't mean that he's not going to have those opportunities of moments or of doubt and struggle. Forever.
Yes.
But that outlook that he has of the positivity and looking for the good and what Bert has taught him,
Yes.
Can hold true.
I just think it's an important message to parents, because when we are sending the message to our kids, oh, you are suffering and this is the worst thing that ever happened to you and you must be hurting so bad. And when our kids hear us say that to them constantly, they do victimize themselves more. Whereas Hunter's mom was consistently sending the message of, we are victors of this whole situation.
And in essence, his dad was too. He took the high road, the light road, because he knew where he was at and he knew where it was going. And they got to spend that time, that precious time, as long as they could together. And that was great to hear. I feel like that's where one of my chills came, because it's something that every son wants with their father. And he got to have at least a little taste of that. I think the more we do this program, the more I feel like no matter the age, the type of death, who they lost, there's always something that ties us all together. No matter, and usually it's the wave of emotion.
Yeah.
Even with Hunter, who was so young when it happened, and with a few of our other guests at the different stages of their lives, we keep talking about the waves that happen at those special times in our lives. But it's just a way of remembering and honoring them and still loving them.
Yes. And doing these rituals is making meaning of those moments and finding a way to ride the wave. That's what our coping skills are.
And I think that thing that we talk about, often at Olivia's house, but hopefully the thesis of this show, Jeff, I think you pointed out beautifully, is you're not alone. You're not the only person who's feeling this way, even if it feels absurd. There are others who have had experiences that are similar, and you're not alone. And so I'm grateful that we're able to have those guests come on and share that.
Me too.
Learning a lot. It's great stuff.
Well, this has been Guess Who Died. We have been honored to have another voice sharing their story of hope and healing on our podcast today, and we cannot wait to see who joins us next time. Come and join us then to find out
Who died?
Guess Who Died is an Olivia's House production, sponsored in part by the M&M Lissauer Family Foundation.